Well, let's start off with a softball one. What's their definition for a racist? A racist is a person who belongs to a dominant or privileged group. I'm not joking when I say, for anyone listening, that is softball for where we're going to go. And these are all direct quotes.
So you're inherently racist if you belong to a dominant or privileged group. So if you are in South Africa and you happen to be black, you are a racist according to the Salvation Army. That is what they're saying.
Oh, yeah. They'd probably excuse that by saying that, but they're not the privileged ones there. Therefore, they're not. I mean, it just becomes a weapon.
So it becomes a bludgeon. You can use it wherever you want. Yeah. Exactly.
But Micah, we talked about racist. So surely their definition of racism is better, right?
No, actually, it's just as bad, if not worse. So they say that racism is this: the prejudiced treatment, stereotyping, and discrimination of people of color, that's what POC stands for, on the basis of race. Racism is a marriage of racist policies and racist ideas that produces and normalizes racial inequalities. Now, this is where we need to pay careful attention because it's talking about inequalities. Now, the reality is they're talking about inequality of outcome, which means simply that not everybody gets the same stuff in life. Now, that's just a natural thing that happens. So, in fact, they use that because not everybody has equal outcomes in terms of race or even in terms of individuals, but they can use that then to say, well, I've been discriminated against because I don't have all of the same things that, that all of these other white people supposedly have, even though there's plenty of variation in terms of white people and other quote unquote privileged groups. So yeah, it's just as bad.
Well, and these are some other things that they say. I mean, just buckle up for these. What has not changed is that racial groups are placed into a hierarchy with white or lighter skinned people at the top, non-indigenous people of color subjugated beneath lighter skinned people, Black and indigenous people at the bottom of the racial system. This is literally from the Salvation Army. Next, we've got, we must stop denying the existence of individual and systemic institutional racism. They exist and are still at work to keep white Americans in power. But if you still don't believe they're woke, here's one more quote for you. Racism is not an individual act. It is systemic and institutional. Our foundations were built on racism, and it is still strongly felt in every aspect of American life. I mean, these guys are like so woke. It's like wokeness is falling out their ears.
I mean, let's continue on. Structural racism. So this is their definition of structural. And again, these are all their definitions from their resources. Go on to enemieswithinthechurch.com, click on Wikipedia, go to the Salvation Army profile. There will be sourced information for this. But systemic racism is the overarching system of racial bias across institutions and society. These systems give privileges to to white people, resulting in disadvantages to people of color. So again, it's only one direction. Racism is white people.
And they go and they also promote intersectionality, like directly. This is what they say. Intersectionality, the belief that our social justice movements must consider all of the intersections of identity, privilege, and oppression that people face in order to be just and effective. Now, it all comes to the cherry on the top when it comes to the subject with the Salvation Army, is that they have some recommended resources that they are unashamedly pro-critical race theory, such as The Cross and the Lynching Tree by James Cone, Woke Church by Eric Mason. You can go and find a profile of Eric Mason on Wikipedia. We've got that. And of course, the 1619 Project, which isn't even coming from a Christian persuasion. It's literally just critical race theory that's coming out here. I mean, they're not just Christianized woke. They're just woke. I mean, like they're secular woke as well here.